Hi there. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to do a basic weaving. This is a good way to get an introduction to weaving, to learn how to start doing it. So you're going to make something that looks kind of like this in the end. So to get started with that, you're going to need a few materials. One is you're going to need some type of box, like a cereal box, cardboard box, anything like that. Or you could also use a paper, something a little bit thicker than just a plain piece of like copy paper or printer paper. Anything a little sturdier would be great, but if that's whatever you have. And you're going to need to cut up some strips for what's called your weft. And that could be from cereal boxes, it could be from junk mail, it could be from newspaper, any kind of paper, cardboard stuff that you can cut up. If you can't cut up something because you don't have scissors, just tear as neatly as you can. And then you could even done like I've done here, and you could even fold it to get neat edges. And that would work too. So let's get started. So if you're using a paper to do this, what we're making first is our loom and warp together. So if I'm using paper, it's probably going to be a rectangle, so I'm going to find those two short sides, and I'm going to fold those two short sides together so they can be friends. And that's, most people call that hamburger style. I like to call it taco style because that looks like a taco shell more to me than a hamburger bun. I'm going to draw a line across the top and write the word stop. That's going to help me later. If you're using a box, like I'm going to use also, then what you're going to want to do is you just want one face of it, one of the big faces of it. So what I've done is open this up, and I've already started cutting off the sides just to shorten this video up, but you'll need to do the same, cut off the sides so you're left with just one side of it, one of the big sides. And I'm going to do the same thing on this. I'm going to draw a line at the top and write the word stop just as a reminder. And with this project, it does help if you have scissors. What I'm going to do now is on my paper, I'm going to be making my warp. So down here on this folded side, the top where I wrote stop should have been my two sides together. What I'm going to do is make my warp, which is what I'm going to put things between. So I'm cutting until I get to that line and stopping. And with these, I can make them as straight as I can, or you can do wavy or zigzag. But what you want to make sure of with that is you want to make sure that you keep those lines away from one another, no touching. So give them a little bit of distance from one another. There we go. And I'm getting up to that line, and when I get to that line, I'm stopping. So then when I unfold this, it will look like that. That would be my loom and warp with that. If you're using cardboard, instead what I would suggest doing is not folding in half, but instead what I'm going to do if I'm doing cardboard is I'm going to just start at the bottom and cut. And the reason I'm starting at the bottom is that this is a lot thicker than that paper. So if I tried to fold it in half, it would be really hard to do. Much harder. So I'm going to keep it simple and just cut on one side and have my loom just be on one side. So you can do zigzags if you want. You can do wavy lines. You can do straight. Just make sure they don't touch one another. Keeping some distance, like we're all being told to do right now, and like it's just good practice anyway. Don't touch somebody unless you get permission. Same here. We're keeping our distance from each of these little lines. And I'm making kind of a fun pattern of zigzag and wavy. So let me get this last one, and then we'll do our weaving. So there is our loom and warp for cardboard or paper. So for this next part, if I was doing my paper, I would open it up and unfold it. This one I don't have to worry about that. But in either case, this is going to kind of work the same. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take those papers that I've cut ahead of time, and I'm going to start weaving these, what are called wefts, through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a pattern of under and over. So under one, over one, under, over, under, over, all the way to the top, and I'm going to slide that as close as I can to my stop line. And it gets a little trickier. You make a little bit more work for yourself with those wavy and zigzag lines, but I think it just makes it look kind of fun. Alright, then I'm going to switch, and this time I've got to change the way I start. So I started under this time, so now I'm doing over first. So over, under, over, under, over and under. So we're making a pattern of over and under. And now I've got to check and see how to start with this one. So I went under, over. What's this one going to start with? Under, that's right. So when you're doing this, what you're going to end up with when you're done, once you start getting a few of these, about 3 is when I usually start seeing it. And with each of these I'm pushing them together. But what you'll start to notice is kind of a checkerboard pattern. And that's how you can tell if you're getting it right, is it should start to look like a fancy checkerboard pattern. And when I'm pushing these together, if I'm alternating, starting under and under, they shouldn't be able to slide over each other. They should just get close to each other, but not on top of it. Like you want to sit next to your best friend at lunch. You don't want to sit on your best friend at lunch. Same thing. Close, but not touching, not on each other. So we're making sure our pattern stays here, over and under. Push as close as we can, and if we did it right, they're not going to overlap. And I might have room for one more. So under, over, under, over, under, over. Yeah. Lifting up those ones I want to go under. Alright, so now I'm all done. Few tidying up things you can do to make it a little neater is, if you have glue, again, this is optional, but if you have glue, I think it helps to lift up the ends and glue the ends down. Helps your weaving just stay together better. If you do it really well, it'll hold together anyway, but I think it just makes it last a little longer to go ahead and do that. You can do this with a glue stick like I have here, or you can use a bottle of glue if you use a bottle of glue. Remember, dots, not lakes or puddles or oceans or rivers of glue. Dot, dot, not a lot. See, that slid out. So this one on the end especially, it would be helpful for me to make sure I put some glue on these so that that won't continue to happen. And then, so if you have glue, that's a good thing to do. If you don't, hey, that's alright. Another good thing that I think helps it look nice in the end would be just tidying this up. and cutting these extras off. So if you have scissors, which I hope you do, but if not, you can tear with this project too. But scissors make it easier for sure. So I'm just going to cut off the edges, the extra, and then that'll leave us with our nice neat weaving. And then, oops, missed one. I doubled those up. And there we have it. There's our weaving. And I might use this side because that side doesn't have my stop. But there's my weaving.